Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's webinar on Is Franchising a Good Fit for Me? I am super excited to hand it off to Blake to talk all about that. But first, I just wanted to go over a couple announcements. First thing, I wanted to give a shout out to this month's featured sponsor, which is Signature Performance. We are super grateful for their support and for all of our sponsors' support. It's because of their donations that we are able to offer opportunities like this for free. So thank you so much to them. And I also want to give a shout out to Platte Valley Auto, who is our featured member for this month. This is another added benefit that we love to give to members. We love our members, and so we want to give them as many shout outs as we can. Platte Valley Auto, for example, has been a Grow Nebraska member since 2020. They have locations in Lexington and Kearney. So thanks so much to them for being a member with us. And thanks for letting us feature you on today's webinar. Also wanted to say that if you have not signed up for our next webinar, you definitely should. That is going to be on the best secrets and science behind growing your business. So that is going to be an amazing session with lots of things about business leadership and tips and tricks that you can take with you no matter what your business is. So be sure to sign up for that when you get a chance. You can do that at grownebraska.org/training. Or just click under the trainings tab. All right, so it has come to be the time of the webinar where we hand off the microphone and let Blake present his topic. If you have any questions during the presentation, please put those in the chat. I sent a message in the chat so you guys all know where it is. So anything that pops into your head, please put that in the chat, and then we'll be live answering questions that you put in the chat. So please, if anything pops in your head, utilize that, and we'll be sure to answer your question. So thanks so much. And with that, here is the presentation.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our presentation, Is Franchising a Good Fit for Me? My name is Blake Martin. I'll be your presenter today. Let's start by going over what we'll cover on the agenda. We're going to contrast various approaches to business ownership. We're going to explain what franchising is all about, one of those approaches that can be used. We're going to cover some myths and misconceptions of franchising, and also talk a little bit about the breadth of franchise opportunities and the breadth of investment ranges within franchising. So a little bit about myself. I am a local small business franchise owner, hence presenter of this session. The name of my small business franchise is FranNet of the Heartland. I'm also a certified franchise executive and a former franchisor. So before being a local small business franchise owner, I worked in the national headquarters offices of franchise systems on the other side of that table. I'm also a SCORE SBA volunteer and believe wholeheartedly in providing free education to a local community like this. So my own franchise, who is FranNet and why am I the presenter today? If you chose us from a drop-down menu, then our organization would be called a franchise brokerage and consulting firm. At the end of the day, I am a franchise owner who helps others decide if what they want to do is the same as me. Do they want to get into business ownership as a local franchise owner? Since 1987, our organization has been doing this, and we are a franchise system ourselves, of course. So we're franchised all across North America and Europe. And in that process, we've assisted thousands of people with safe and responsible transition from corporate America into business ownership. So that's what we do all day, every day. And that's why I'm here to talk to you a little bit about whether or not this could be a good fit for you. The first thing I'll tell you as a small business franchise owner myself is that's not the only way, and it's not the right way for everybody. It all depends on what's right for you. At the end of the day, there are three different ways to get into business ownership. You can build, you can buy, or you can join. Build means you go hang your own shingle. You start your own thing from scratch. Buy means you go out there and find an existing business that's for sale and purchase that business. And join is the franchising option. You join a franchise system, which is a bit of a hybrid of those first two. The reason it's a hybrid is because a franchise owner like myself, I own 100% of my business. So it is my own small business, but I'm leveraging, like in buying an existing business, I'm leveraging the knowledge that somebody else has learned from running that same business. So, what a franchise truly is, its core definition, it's a license to use the name and trademarks of an established brand. That would include products and services and the business systems. So, the reason I invested in a franchise is because I wanted to be able to take advantage of using the name and trademarks of FranNet, the business systems, and the know how of the organization. In exchange for that, it doesn't come free. There's an investment like all small business ownership. In exchange for a one-time initial franchise fee, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and ongoing royalties. So a share of the customer's dollar every time I earn new business, because they have helped me earn that new business, my franchisor, the National Home Office, gets a small piece of that, or a royalty. So why would I be okay? Why would anybody be okay with making those investments, the initial franchise fee and the royalties? What's the value that comes to them? Well, this slide provides a abbreviated bullet list, but a bullet list of some of the key reasons why people like myself decide to invest in a franchise rather than the other two options. For me, one of them was the proof of concept. So by way of example, I had been in this field and I understood the field a little bit, unlike a lot of people who enter franchise businesses, but I still felt more comfortable going with somebody who could guide me along the way. I like in my franchise business that I can offer my services for free to the person that's looking for a new business in the local market. But had I not known that somebody else had already proven that that model could work and could still be profitable, even without billing ever the person who's looking for a business, had nobody else ever proved that before me, I would have been really hesitant to start this business. But my franchise company, FranNet, had proven that. Some of the other items that I've highlighted in here in bolder is validating. Why consider a franchise? Well, the ultimate reassurance for me, because I'm a relatively risk averse person, the ultimate reassurance for me was I want to be able to go out there and talk to other people who are doing exactly what I'm thinking about doing with the same brand, running the same business. So in franchising, validation means that as I was going through the research and due diligence process to decide whether or not I wanted to join this franchise, I had the freedom to go out there and call and or visit with as many or all of the existing local franchise owners, to be able to ask them questions like, hey, if you had this to do over again, would you? And I could also ask them questions in confidence like, are you making money doing this? How long did it take you to make money? What are the biggest challenges? What's the value that you get from being part of this franchise system? Being able to ask those questions made me, and usually makes most people who are researching a business, a lot more comfortable about making that investment. And that's just not a benefit that you can get if you're hanging your own shingle. You can't just go call all the competitors and ask them to share all of their deepest secrets and proprietary information. And even when you're buying an existing business, well, the seller is going to have some seller motives, right? They want to make this business that they're selling to you as pretty as they possibly can. Not necessarily a franchise system, because they're going to be married to you long term through a legal agreement, through a franchise agreement. So they want you to know exactly what you're getting into. Also, at a time like this, the fact that a franchise system had already weathered the storm, they had been through other economic downturns, that made me feel a lot more comfortable. Certainly is a huge benefit of franchise systems all around the world right now during this COVID pandemic. And because of all of these things, generally speaking, franchise businesses have a higher success rate with a local small business franchise owner like me versus people who are starting businesses in the same category but aren't part of a franchise. So security for me. Now, we're not here to tell you that any of these approaches to starting a new business, build, buy, or join, is the best thing since sliced bread. So I want to be very candid about the fact that there are disadvantages to each of these, including disadvantages to the model that I chose. If you're starting a franchise and wanting to research it, you need to be willing to take on what feels like almost a part-time job as you're doing the research and due diligence, because there's a lot of information that franchise organization is going to share with you, expect you to consume and understand and provide feedback on before they're comfortable allowing you to join their franchise system. I spent a good 5 months, and it was a part-time job, just researching all the different options and opportunities with businesses like FranNet. And there may be, or there almost always will be, limitations on the products or services. So you'll have to stay within the brand if you decide to join a franchise organization. Meaning, under my FranNet brand name, I can help people who want to research different franchise businesses. But what I can't do is go provide legal advice, even if I was an attorney. Or here's a more common example. If I'm a McDonald's franchisee, I can't just go sell pizza if it's not on the menu. They have to approve that and test market it with you. So you have to be comfortable with the idea that there are going to be others involved who are business partners of yours, who are going to set some of the rules of engagement. So that comment earlier about already weathering the storm, one of the things that we wanted to get across in this presentation is there is a broad array of different opportunities within franchising. And many of those can fall under the category of we've weathered the storm before, and that's what makes us a secure investment. That could be down here growing markets driven by demographics like home health care and the elderly demographic. That could be distance learning and tutoring, essential services. So what's something that has really thrived in the COVID environment? Well, kids are home from school and distance learning has become very popular. There's franchises for that. Or businesses that help other small businesses, like business coaching, that tends to get even busier during economic downturns in many cases. And virtual and tech services that tend to flourish regardless of the environment. The franchising myths and misconceptions. There's a handful of things that I hear. I've been in the franchising industry for about 22 years now, so I've probably heard just about all of them. But the ones that come up most commonly for me, and we can certainly go through some more of these when we get to the Q&A in just a couple of minutes here. But one of them is, well, I'd love to be in a franchise, but I don't want to do fast food. Well, I'm here to tell you that there is more, a lot more, than just do you want fries with that in the franchising industry. There are hundreds of industries within franchising, and I'll show you some of the examples on the next slide. Also, I talk to a lot of people who say, you know what, I'd love to invest in a franchise. I get it that it's proven and established and they've got all the brand, but I don't have $1 million sitting around. I don't have $500,000 sitting around. That's okay. There are a lot more very reasonable investments in franchising than something like a McDonald's, to stay with that example. Yeah, if you want to invest in a McDonald's, you're probably going to have to invest in several at a time for them to approve you as a franchise owner. And that's going to be millions of dollars. But that's very unique. There are very few that are that kind of investment in the franchising field. And I put a little example here. In many cases, more than 100 strong franchise concepts that have been proven to be able to generate six-figure incomes for their local franchise owners. If you can put together $30,000 in liquid capital from various sources and you have good credit, there's a very good chance that you qualify and would have the financial wherewithal to be a franchisee and invest in one of these many different franchise systems. So that's not chump change, right? It's a real investment and you need to take it seriously. No different than any approach you might take to small business ownership. Another thing is, yes, I own 100% of my small business. My small business, FranNet of the Heartland, it's a local franchise of the national brand, but it is an LLC entity. So I've incorporated my own business. I own 100% of that. The franchisor that I've joined, they own the brand itself, the rights to the brand and the methods. I own my local business. And that also means that, yes, I can sell or transfer to my family, for example, my business at any point that I want to. It's mine. I do have to work within the brand requirements of the franchise system. And it's really important that if you do join a franchise, you weigh the pros and the cons, and you feel that the pros, the value of that brand and the know-how and knowledge that they can bring to you is going to easily outweigh the investment that you're making. Some example of more than burgers and fries. Did you know that lots of these businesses exist in the local marketplace? I know because I helped some of them start. So you've got PureClean, damage restoration for small businesses and homes, or Concrete Craft, concrete beautification services. Monster Tree, which is a tree trimming and tree pruning business. Units, a moving and portable storage franchise business. These are all franchises, and many of them have been around for a long, long time. So they might not be what you think of when you think of franchising all the time. I get it. The ones that we see all the time, all around town, all around the country, are often the restaurants and the retail businesses. So that's what we think of when we think of franchising. But there is a lot of choices, a lot of ranges. So continuing on here to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about, no, you don't have to be a millionaire. You need to take the investment seriously, and you need to make sure that you've got enough to make that investment and then to grow the business to the point where it can pay its own bills, to get to the break-even point. But here's what from some of the nerds that crunch data in the franchising field at a company called FranData, here's what the breakdown looks like of the average all-in initial investment to start different franchise businesses. About 20% of them are over $500,000. Those are the big, heavy investments like the McDonald's or the Pizza Huts or even a Runza. Then you can also see that there is a large percentage of these that are well below that $250,000 range, 100 to 250 or 50 to 100. So that's the all-in investment it takes. Everything you would need to get the business up and growing, including any initial franchise fees, including typically the first 3 months of operating capital, what you're paying to hire employees originally, all the startup advertising, etc. That's all baked into these ranges of prices that you see here. And there is I've been a part of many a research study on, hey, well, if you pay more, if you invest more, if you invest over $500,000, does it increase your chance to have a successful business in franchise? And the answer is no. In fact, I've been a part of franchise system service businesses where the investment range was more like the 100 to 250, and the success rate, as well as the rate of people who replaced six-figure incomes within a few years, was just as high or higher very frequently than those franchise investments that were $500,000 or above. So you don't have to be rich to do it, and you don't have to invest in one of the richest of the franchise opportunities to have success financially. Earlier, I also mentioned transferring my business to family. And this comes to my last point about the why. The why of your business needs to be something that will drive you and motivate you beyond just the money that you can make. Nobody starts a business, including a franchise, not to make money, but it needs to be something that's motivating you. And this is my why, my family. And that's what keeps me going on some of the challenging days. And I would really encourage you to make sure that you have a why, a true motivator that will keep you motivated through the good, the bad, and the ugly business ownership. Here's my contact information, and you can scan this right here on the screen. And this will give you a feedback survey as well as some resources and tools to supplement what we talked about here, including a self-assessment that's called an entrepreneur profile. It's free, it's at no cost, and it's confidential, but some additional resources that we wanted to provide to you here. Again, this is my contact information. If we can't get all the questions in after this session, I'm more than happy to speak with you directly and answer any questions you have. So with that, I'm going to stop the presentation and begin the open Q&A. I want to thank you for your attention to this point and wish you all of the best in luck in your research for small business ownership.
Thank you so much, Blake, for sharing all of your knowledge on the topic of franchising. I'm looking here in the chat, and I'm not seeing lots of questions right now. But again, please be sure to, if you get the recording afterward and you want to write down Blake's contact info, or if you happen to write it down before, he said definitely follow up with him. And then two, my contact information is on the screen here. So if you have any questions or you need some help getting in touch with Blake, I'm more than happy to facilitate that. If you have any questions about Grow Nebraska, also more than happy to help you with those questions. My phone number's up there, and so is my email, so feel free to contact me either of those ways. But again, I just wanted to say thank you to Blake. Thanks for hopping on with us today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you affording me the opportunity, and I wish all the best of luck to folks who invest the time to listen to this recording. That's one of the most important components of making a successful decision on business ownership, is evaluating all the different options out there and asking the right questions and continuing to endeavor into getting the right answers in order to determine which route to entry is best for you. And if I can be of any help to any of your clients in any way who are looking for information on the franchising model, more than happy to help.
Great. Thank you so much today. Well, I think I'm going to go and wrap up the webinar then. Thanks again, and thank you to those of you who tuned in. We will be sending out this recording afterwards, so feel free to watch it again and again. Or, yep, thank you, Linda, for tuning in. So see you guys next week for our webinar again. That's going to be right at noon, same time, same place. So hope to see you then. Thanks so much. Bye.